All right, for over a year, we have been reporting accurately, and now we know more about Bruce Orr's suspicious ties to Fusion GPS. Remember, his wife, Nellie Orr, actually worked with Christopher Steele for Fusion GPS and the ones that put together the Clinton bought and paid for Russian dirty dossier. And as you know, the dossier was a campaign op research document put together by Steele himself. He doesn't stand by it. A former foreign spy, full of Russian lies, full of misinformation, full of propaganda. Hillary paid for it. The DNC paid for it, all by funneling money through a law firm to Fusion GPS. And now, according to John Solomon's reporting tonight, we have clear evidence that Bruce Orr, the fourth most powerful person in the Obama Justice Department, was working hand in hand with Christopher Steele and Hillary Clinton's op research team, both before and after the election, clearly to stop President Trump from winning the election, and then after he won the election, literally destroy him with the Clinton-funded Russian lies that nobody ever verified and has now been totally debunked. Now, let's take a look at some of the most damning evidence. Look at this. July 1st, 2016. Christopher Steele reaches out to Bruce Orr. He wrote, quote, "There is something separate I wanted to discuss with you informally and separately. It concerns our favorite, well, business tycoon." Now, that clear reference was to then candidate President Trump. That was followed up on July 30th, 2016, 3 months before Election Day. Steele met Bruce and Nellie Orr for breakfast. Now, this was a meetup that was documented by this text, quote, "Great to see you and Nellie this morning, Bruce. Let's keep in touch on the substantive issues. Glenn Simpson, founder of Fusion GPS, is happy to speak to you on this if it would help." Now, just 1 day later, anti-Trump FBI investigator Peter Strzok, he opened up the investigation into the phony claims of Trump-Russia collusion. Do you see how this is all coming together? And after the election ended, and President Trump was sworn in, which they didn't think would happen, well, then the communication even continued. Now, on January 31st, 2017, now president, just sworn in, Steele texted Orr, quote, "Just want to check you are okay, still in the situation and able to help locally as discussed, along with your bureau colleagues." Now, this text is actually damning for two reasons. One, it shows that Bruce Orr was, in fact, feeding the FBI Steele's lies, misinformation, and propaganda. And number two, it shows the FBI was breaking their own protocol, their own rules. Steele had been barred from working with the FBI in November of 2016 because of his leaking to the news media. And let's also keep in mind the major role that this Steele, Clinton-paid-for dirty dossier played in the FISA applications against the Trump campaign associate Carter Page. We now have proof Bruce Orr likely funneled the dossier to the FBI, a document Orr knew was op research bought and paid for by the opposing political party in an election year. And remember, just yesterday on this program, House Intel Committee Chairman Devin Nunes, he revealed exculpatory evidence was completely omitted from the FBI's FISA applications against Carter Page. Watch this.
There is exculpatory evidence that we have seen of classified documents that need to be declassified. These were not, when I say
exculpatory in nature, in what way? I don't mean to press you. Exculpatory in what way?
In that the Carter Page FISA, when the judges should have been presented with this exculpatory evidence that the FBI and DOJ had.
Do you see this? There you have it. This is Obama's Justice Department, part of Obama's branch, literally using your federal government, your tax dollars, in this case as a weapon against the Trump campaign and then later the President of the United States, President Trump himself. They used Clinton campaign material, never verified, never corroborated, the phony Russian dossier to rig a FISA court application, lying to judges to spy on Team Trump. Then they used the very same op research that she paid for to open up a phony Russia collusion investigation into then candidate Trump. And then they leaked the contents of the dossier to the press because they wanted to influence the election in favor of Hillary Clinton against Donald Trump and lie to you, the American people. And on top of it all, the FBI, on top of Hillary paying Steele through Fusion GPS and the DNC paying him, the FBI paid him. The FBI made 11 payments to Christopher Steele. I have been saying, and now it has all come together, the biggest political corruption, abuse of power scandal in our lifetime. This should outrage every single American. I don't care what your political affiliation is. Let me say this slowly. They tried to steal in the United States of America a presidential election, and we have the evidence. In other words, they abused their power to steal an election, a presidential election. Our Justice Department has been weaponized for pure partisan political gain. We have so much on this major development. We're going to talk to John Solomon and Mark Meadows in just a minute. But in other news, just the latest example of why so many Americans can't trust the media. They've been missing in action on that scandal. Last night, we called them out again for hyping up yet another fake news story about the 2016 Trump Tower meeting between Don Jr. and the, quote, Russian lawyer. Oh, they met before with Fusion GPS and after with Fusion GPS. Anyway, they claimed the president finally admitted to collusion. That's what you have now been hearing for days and days and days. They said there was stunning new evidence that the Trump Tower meeting was political. Okay, it ended up being about adoption. None of this is new. Zero. None of this is stunning. None of this is collusion. We've known for more than a year that Donald Trump Jr. took the meeting, because like everybody else, like Adam Schiff and Hillary Clinton, everybody wants, op research on their political opponents. That didn't stop the media, even though we've known it for well over a year, and the president said it, from recycling a fake scandal 2 days in a row, frankly, all weekend. Take a look.
President Trump has made an about-face on that much-discussed meeting between his son, Don Jr., and a Russian lawyer at Trump Tower back in June 2016. The president now admitting it was all about getting information on Hillary Clinton.
He is now bluntly acknowledging that a Trump Tower meeting central to the investigation was, in fact, about getting dirt on Hillary Clinton from the Russians.
All of a sudden now, the president is confirming bluntly what it was all about. He says there was no violation of the law, but he's admitting finally what it was all about.
I think we've actually entered now a very different realm because we're no longer speculating. Now we actually have people essentially admitting what happened.
President.
The people, the people being in this case the president of the United States in word on Twitter admitting what happened.
All of this phony, fake, feigned moral outrage over a non-story that the president had talked about, we've reported, they all reported over a year ago. That's why we call them the Destroy Trump press. That's why the American people don't trust you people in the media. And by the way, that's why we'll call you fake news. And if you thought the media's bias couldn't get any worse, well, think again. In order to bash President Trump, there you got fake news CNN, conspiracy TV, MSNBC, rolling out the longest-known sufferer of Trump derangement syndrome ever. There she is, Rosie O'Donnell. Last night, literally standing in front of the White House, leading a sing-along protest against her arch nemesis. And naturally, the media was more than happy to give her a platform so she could spew all of her hatred on national TV. Shocking. Take a look.
He should not be president, and I don't believe that he's a legitimate president. I believe if it wasn't for Russia, he never would have won. They actually gave him the election. I believe that firmly, and I think a lot of people do. I believe he should be impeached. I'm sickened by Congress that doesn't call for articles of impeachment when we have so much evidence of his horrible high crimes and misdemeanors. Did they come in there and make Trump win when every single exit poll and every person in America knew for sure that Hillary Clinton was going to win? Do you think that there was anything to do with Russia, or just a real big swirl for Donald Trump in these specific areas with the same exact amount of votes that were needed? We're going to stand up at the polls and let him know. And unless he goes in and has the Russians kind of fix it like he did last time in 2016, we're going to see him gone. And that's what I'm waiting and hoping for.
Now, Rosie's hatred for the president is widespread among all her friends in Hollywood, all the elite. Last night, the West Hollywood City Council, they voted unanimously. They're removing Donald Trump's star. Oh, how devastating. From the Hollywood Hall of Walk of Fame, in part because of Trump's, quote, disturbing treatment of women. Okay, the move is non-binding, however, because the West Hollywood City Council has no authority over the walk. Let's take a look at the stars not targeted last night by the West Hollywood City Council. There we have Bill Cosby, recently found guilty of drugging and sexually assaulting a woman. And then you have dozens of other similar allegations levied against Bill Cosby. Oh, there he is, Kevin Spacey. Oh, yeah, he's facing tons of accusations of sexual misconduct from more than 10 people, including multiple victims who were allegedly abused in their early teens. You got Brett Ratner. He's been accused by multiple women of serious sexual misconduct and assault. Jeffrey Tambor, Oliver Stone, and many others. But the West Hollywood City Council is saying their vote has nothing to do with politics whatsoever. And finally tonight, day 6 of the biggest trial of the century, the 2005 tax case of Paul Manafort. Well, it's come to a close, but not without a very tense moment between Team Mueller and Judge Ellis. Now, according to reports, the judge reprimanded a prosecutor in court and then accused him of tearing up. This would be Mueller's guy. And Judge Ellis repeatedly clashing from day one with members of Mueller's legal team, often questioning the relevance of, quote, the evidence or so-called evidence presented in court. Meanwhile, the prosecution's star witness, Rick Gates, he continued his testimony from the stand. Manafort's defense attorney, they raised serious questions about the character of the star witness, including all the instances he actually, embezzled a ton of money from Paul Manafort. The defense team accused Gates of using the money to fund a secret life and an affair in London. And despite all of that, the odds are definitely stacked against Paul Manafort, who currently faces a potential life sentence. This is a 2005 case, and remember what the judge said, to put the screws to Manafort, to make him sing or compose, so they'll get information so they can get Trump. They started with his lifestyle. They talked about oligarchs. Then we got the Mueller team guy tearing up in court, and the judge ripping him, saying, look at me. I think the judge knows what's going on here. I think it's pretty obvious. But because Rod Rosenstein's mandate was so broad, and this has nothing to do with Russia, nothing to do with collusion, nothing to do with Trump, nothing to do with the election at all. Well, this is what Mueller gives us. Here with more